Welcome to the Transform Your Wedding podcast, a how-to guide for taking your wedding to a whole new level. Here's your host, Marie Kubin from Rent My Wedding.
Hey guys, thanks for checking out this episode of the podcast. This one is all about pin spotting. We'll talk about what it is and why you need it for your wedding. First things first, what is pin spotting? Pin spotting is a type of wedding lighting that highlights your cake and centerpieces. This is a really special type of lighting that just makes those details pop. Now, these are also called pin spots or pin lights or cake spotlights or centerpiece spotlights. You might be wondering, why do you need pin spotting? Well, in most venues for the wedding reception, they turn down the overhead lights. That means with the dim lighting, all of those special details can get lost. So you want to make sure that you really make them shine. So adding a pin spot on each centerpiece and on the cake is going to really make it stand out and look amazing. And it's also great for your wedding photos too, because it's going to make sure that all of the gorgeous details are highlighted in the photos. What does a pin spot look like? It kind of looks like a mini flashlight. It's a really small light. It's maybe about 6 inches long and 2 inches wide. But that small light can actually shine up to 25 feet away and produces this really powerful light to make your cake and your centerpieces look amazing. Next, let's talk about how to set up pin spots. So it's really easy to set up pin spotting. There's two main ways that you can do it. There's tabletop setup and mounting them. So first, let's talk tabletop setup. So tabletop setup is definitely the easiest way to go. Literally, you just put the light on the table and aim it up at the flowers or over at the cake, and that's all there is to it. You'll see those details just instantly light up. Now, you could set the light on the same table as the cake, or you can even put it on a separate table and kind of put it off to the side so that you've got your lights pointing over at the cake. So tabletop setup is a really easy way to set up your pin spots. Another way you can do it is by mounting the lights. So most pin spots actually have a magnetic bracket on them, which means you can attach them to any metal surface. So look for things like metal light fixtures and chandeliers or curtain rods on the windows. Those are all great places to mount your pin spots. You just literally stick it up on the metal and then aim it until it shines down on the centerpieces or the cake. The spotlights have built-in batteries that last for 5 hours, so you don't have to worry about power cords. What you'll want to do is set up your pin spots when you're doing all of the wedding prep and get them just right. Then use the remote control provided to turn off the light and conserve battery power until the wedding is ready to start. So once it's time for the reception, just hit the power switch on that remote control and your pin spots will all turn on. And next up is, where should you put spotlights? So we've kind of already talked about putting them on your cake and your centerpiece. That is definitely the most popular way to use pin spotting, but you can also use them on any special details that you want to stand out. So you could shine these on your guest book or an ice sculpture, really anywhere that you want to highlight and create a focal point. Now, what about the quantity of spotlights? How do you estimate the quantity? This one is actually super easy because all you really need is one spotlight for each thing that you want to highlight. So one spotlight for each centerpiece, one for the cake, and you're good to go. So if you've got 10 tables, you need 10 spotlights. Pretty simple. Now, that's the general rule of thumb for the average cake or centerpiece. If you've got something that's more than 18 inches wide, I would use 2 pin spots. That way you get full coverage. So over 18 inches, you'll want to use 2 pin spots. Everything else below that, just use 1 pin spot. So the last thing we'll talk about is where to get pin spotting. You can get pin spots from a lighting professional, or you can actually rent it and set it up yourself. Pin spotting is one of those things that is actually so easy that I totally recommend going the DIY route with it. So rent do-it-yourself pin spotting and you can save a lot of money by setting it up yourself. If you're using a rental company like Rent My Wedding, the way it works is that you just order on the website, they get delivered to your door before the wedding, and then you just go set them up around the room wherever you want to highlight those beautiful details. After the wedding, put everything back in the same box and just send it back with a prepaid return label. So that is a really easy way to get this look and have pin spotting for your wedding. All right, guys, well, I hope you enjoyed learning all about pin spotting, and I can't wait to chat with you again next time. So make sure you subscribe to the podcast and please leave us a review. I'd really appreciate it. And if you've got more questions, definitely get in touch. My email is marie@transformyourwedding.com. And if you want to see some example photos of pin spotting in action, make sure you follow us on social media over at Transform Your Wedding. Or you can also check out our rental website where we've got client photos using pin spotting at real weddings. And that website is rentmywedding.com. All right, guys, I will see you next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Rent My Wedding, your one-stop shop for event rentals. Order online and rentals are delivered right to your door. Shipping is free both ways nationwide. Rent lighting, backdrops, photo booths, and more. With the most 5-star reviews in the industry, Rent My Wedding makes rentals easy and affordable. Book your rentals today at www.rentmywedding.com.